Within the next 6 months, you will witness one of the most dramatic and mind-blowing changes in the monetary system, that is the money that we use, since Bretton Woods. That's right, guys. This will be way more radical, way more extreme than removing the gold standard that everybody agreed on, which actually gave value to fiat currency. Now, this will be way more extreme, not because the monetary system will change dramatically in the way that it's transacted, but because of the technology that has been innovated and created in modern days that will allow this to be a very dystopian future. This is a theory that I have based off of the last 20 years of me researching things, understanding the way that the world works, the way the monetary system works, the Federal Reserve, central banks, world governments, things like that. And I want your help. I'm going to tell you a theory that I have. I guess you could call it a conspiracy theory about what we are about to witness. Whether it's 6 months from now or 18 months from now, this is what I think is going to happen with the US dollar, with the euro, and our transition, what happens after that, because we all know this isn't sustainable. Guys, if that sounds good to you, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. My name is Chasse. I've been in crypto for 10 years, but more importantly, I have been studying the way that governments, systems, Federal Reserve, banks, for a long, long time. I have been glued to this stuff. And today I'm excited because I can actually come to you with something I've been thinking about for a long time now. And I want your opinion. If you think this is somewhat accurate, if you think it could happen, and more importantly, what I want to do is I want to make another video on the same theory in the next 4 to 8 weeks that takes everything that I talk about today backed up with some degree of evidence. I want us to go, and for sure we will be looking at this. If you have time, I would love your collaboration too. There'll be a Google form in the description below. Go on there and let us know what you think. Like, first of all, in the comments, just let us know if you fill out the Google form and if you think I'm crazy or you think I'm onto something. And then we will just have like a Google submission form where we can create like a Telegram group or something where we all go in there and share information and research, because I want to see if I'm onto something, if we can actually back it up with data, with stats, with evidence. So if you're still here right now, you're probably scratching your head going, Kyle, what the hell are you talking about? Well, I've been thinking about this. How is, let's say, the United States supposed to dig itself out of a $30+ trillion hole? We cannot continue to go down the same path with this broken monetary system forever. It becomes completely unsustainable. We've seen that. What is going to happen? So immediately we have a lot of complaints about oil and gas being too expensive, groceries going off the charts, job losses happening, right? Google, Facebook, everybody is laying off almost half of their staff right now. But that hasn't been reported yet. We haven't seen those numbers. That will come in the next employment report. But this is not going to look good. So what's going to happen? Right now we see interest rates hikes. Now we're kind of where we want to be. As soon as we get to a point where inflation is back under control, where the Fed and government can produce a report saying, guys, we're good again. But of course, this is not favorable for the markets. And with all the political pressure and everything I mentioned before, they will turn the money printer back on, back to quantitative easing, as well as lowering the interest rates again to make everything more attractive, to make the markets go up and everybody be happy again. But when they're ready, because inevitably we will be back to the same place we are today, where inflation becomes a real problem. But this time, they won't turn the money printer off. This time, we will start to resemble the horror stories we heard from Venezuela and Lebanon, where people were literally wiping their ass with dollar bills, because cash will be more valuable as a form of firewood to heat yourself than it will be to spend on anything. We will see a very big similarity, but in my opinion, even worse, to what the United States went through in the Great Depression, where I'm talking about no jobs, no money, everything costs too much. Like, you cannot afford groceries, you cannot afford to heat your house, you cannot afford to cool down your family that has a fever. You cannot afford anything. And there will be hysteria and fear and panic. And people, for the first time, most of us, will truly have fear in our hearts. Truly, I mean truly, because before, the government always had a solution. We've always had something to fall back on. Not this time. Pain will be felt. Hyperinflation will be like something you never thought would happen to a first world industrialized country like the United States. But this is all part of the plan, because it's obvious that the current monetary system, one based on of debt with nothing to back it. That's not even controlled by the government. In fact, it's controlled by a Federal Reserve, which is not even the government, and then distributed by central banks, which is also not the government. This policy obviously cannot continue. So like every other major event that otherwise would have had major criticism and concern and critique from the public, first they need to set the baits, right? Bait the hook, throw it out there, and make sure that you bite. Just like everything before that allowed public buy-in to something otherwise obscene, invading other countries, right? World War II, the Vietnamese War, everything, right? We had Bay of Pigs. There was the 9/11. There was everything that let the government change policy dramatically to where everyone just said, that sounds nice. Terrorism is bad. Please go ahead and spy on me. Take all my digital data and listen to it anytime you want, right? Patriot Act. Complete invasion of privacy. But it's okay because terrorism was a big thing, right? And we need to be careful that terrorists don't get us anymore. Doesn't it make sense that if everybody, at least the masses, are completely terrified where the next meal will come from for their family, that if the government introduced something to them that could alleviate their pain and suffering right now, do you think that they would say yes? Obviously. So enter the solution to your problem, my friends. Enter central bank digital dollar accompanied with universal basic income. And this all works in unison. Immediately, what you will be able to do when they come to save the day, all you have to do is download the app, register yourself, and now you're in the system. You will instantly in your account receive universal basic income. Maybe it's $1,000. Now, I believe strongly that this is a very good strategy in order to implement something that otherwise might have had a lot of criticism and pushback, right? A lot of rational people, politicians and public would probably start to question if the digital dollar was just introduced and we had a choice. We actually had an opportunity to get educated and say, well, guys, okay, yes, we can do a digital dollar and it has these pros to it, but also has these cons to it. And if we had time for an actual intellectual debate, I have a feeling that most people would be against introducing a central bank digital dollar that invades our privacy, that removes our ability for financial sovereignty and privacy. But when there is panic and fear and hysteria, all of that logic, all of the debate, all of the understanding, that there's no time for that. This will sound like such a good idea. I promise you, they'll probably get someone like Obama that just sounds good. It will not be Biden giving you the speech. I promise you that. It'll be someone who can speak really well and sell you the idea, this dream that's coming out. So what are the benefits here, right? First of all, obviously, we have universal basic income, which has its pros and its cons. Everybody gets a basic income. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Everybody does this. And this takes away some of that stigma of welfare programs or only the ultra poor get welfare. Here's where it gets interesting. No one likes to do their taxes, right? Doing your tax, it's not even paying taxes. No one likes to pay their taxes, but I think the worst part, in my opinion anyway, is actually doing the work to do the taxes. So wouldn't it be nice if you never had to worry about that anymore? If it was just done for you? Because every transaction that you do will be accounted for and visible and processed automatically. Yeah, that's kind of nice. And the fact that I won't have to spend hours and hours and hours and literally pull my hair out to get my taxes together. That's they will sell that to you. Trust me. Also, if you have a parking ticket, do not worry about the whole process of filling out the thing, going online or mailing the ticket in with your check or whatever, credit card. Don't worry about it. It's all good. They got you. They'll just take it directly out of your account. Same thing with any other violation or fine that you have to pay. Everything will be done through this centralized digital dollar accounts. So what's going to happen with this $35 trillion of debt that the United States is in? Well, this is probably one of the main reasons that they're going to do all this, other than the other obvious reasons of they want more reasons to spy on you and know exactly what you're doing and where you're spending your money and who you're talking to at all times. Complete control. Because let me digress for 1 second. If you disobey, if you do anything that otherwise is against the law that they don't like, they can easily turn off your account, meaning that you have no more access to your funds. No more cash under the mattress for a rainy day. those days are gone, right? Pure compliance. This is where stuff gets scary, because there's always been some degree of having some cash for rainy days or cash for emergencies. We have all been taught to do that from young kids. That will not be possible anymore. But back to the national debt. So I believe that the slate will be wiped clean. I mean, zero. Because what will happen is they will come out and say, guys, that was the old monetary policy. This is for old, it was created like 150 years ago, and it is not fit for today's modern times. Obviously, they made mistakes, and we have learned from them. And we are applying the lessons we've learned from the mistakes that we've made toward this new monetary policy, the digital dollar. And all of a sudden, just like this, there will not be any debt by the governments owed to anybody. The balance will go back to zero, and they will pick out 1 to 3 to 4 things, major things about the old monetary policy that obviously don't work. They will make it sound like it is a dramatically different system than it is today, but it won't be, right? They'll still have the ability to print at will, burn at will, control interest rates and inflation. More or less, it'll be the same type of policy, but they will sell it to you as a vastly improved policy. Now, what I haven't thought about until making this video right now, which I would like your opinion on, is what do you think will happen if everything I said comes true? So guys, the time frame, like the 6 months, the end of the year, would be the first, what I think would be the first opportunity for this to happen. Again, this has all to do with the quantitative easing, now quantitative tightening. And once we hit inflation again at an acceptable level, boom, back to quantitative easing, which I believe happens around November. And it just depends at that point how long it takes for inflation to run away from us, right? And if the digital dollar is ready by then, let's say November, December, January, that's when it happens, in my opinion. If not, this cycle repeats itself, right? Back to quantitative tightening, higher interest rates, interest rate comes back to normal, boom, quantitative easing, money printing, and the cycle rinse, wash, repeat. Debt climbs higher and higher and higher until the central bank digital dollar is ready, and then. All right, guys, so I want to know, what do you think about this video? I mean, I know it's kind of crazy, but I'm excited to share it with you guys because it's something I've been thinking about for a very long time. And when I'm in conversation on a day-to-day, someone will bring something up, and I will say to my friends, like, I've been saying that forever, and I wanted to be able to like document the fact that I've been talking about this forever, because if it does come true, then I called it, right? If it doesn't, that doesn't happen. This is a collaborative ask. If you guys are interested in helping me do some research, please do check out the Google form down in the description below. And if you want, if I do use whatever you guys share with me, and if I use it in the video, I'll definitely shout out credit to you guys for helping out. And this could be our theory, our conspiracy theory, if you will. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you enjoyed the imagination and creativity of what I think is going to happen in the months to years ahead, and how I think that we're going to go through this massive reset coming up, and things will be dramatically different. And one last thing to think about before I say see ya is, if this comes true, what are you going to do, right? And not just in America, if you could, anywhere else. Like I imagine that this certainly will happen in most of the nations that are part of the United Nations, or the ones that are all allies at least. So if you exist in one of these places, what do you do? Do you completely just buy into the thing and do that? Or would you maybe leave the country and rely on and go to countries that haven't implemented a system like this? Or would you stay in your country, would you stay in the country, use the universal basic income, still go about your life, and also for the things where you feel you need more privacy for, you use things like Bitcoin or Monero as alternatives? That is your choice. This is one of the best things about Bitcoin and things like Monero that now give us an alternative to the certain future that lies ahead of us. Guys, whether the story plays out like I said or not, what is certain is that digital dollar is coming and that cash will be gone. That is a fact. We do know that. So the future, we will have options. That is the best thing about Bitcoin, is it's giving us some alternative to the otherwise incredibly dystopian future.